The arena smelled of alien blood and old pride. Lyra Vera stepped through the iron gate and into the Colosseum of Vorith Prime, her boots scraping against the black stone floor. 10,000 alien eyes watched her, some compound, some lidless, some glowing in shades that had no name in the human tongue. They came from a dozen species, every one of them among the so-called galactic ascendancy, the coalition that had spent the last 40 years reminding humanity that it was young, weak, and embarrassingly fragile. She was not what they expected. She was not tall. She was not draped in powered armor or carrying a plasma rifle or piloting a mech suit. She was a woman of average height, dark-skinned, with calloused hands and a long scar that ran from her left jaw to her collarbone. Her equipment was simple: leather bracers, a reinforced vest, and at her hip, a sword. A sword. The laughter started somewhere in the upper tiers and rolled downward like an avalanche. A human, one of the Vorith officials, announced through the amplifier, his translation collar flickering yellow with amusement. Presenting herself with a blade. More laughter. A Torati warrior, 9 feet tall, covered in natural chitinous plating, leaned over the railing above and called down in broken standard, "Is that rust on your weapon, little mammal?" Lyra did not look up. She unsheathed the sword slowly, deliberately, and held it at her side. It was not a beautiful weapon. The blade was dark and uneven, its surface carrying patches of deep brown-red that most species would identify as oxidation. The crossguard was rough-hammered. The grip was wrapped in something black and worn. There were no gems, no etchings, no energy cells. It looked like something pulled from a scrapyard. Because it was. Just not the kind of scrapyard they imagined. Commander Kale Veyron arrived late to the execution, because that was what this was supposed to be. An execution dressed as a duel. His warship Dominion's reach hovered in the upper atmosphere, and he had beamed down simply to watch the human die as a political gesture, a message to the resistance cells still operating in the outer rim. He took his seat in the commander's box and studied the woman below. He had fought humans before. He respected them in the uncomfortable way one respects an unpredictable animal, not for sophistication, but for sheer, irrational stubbornness. They did not know when to stop. They did not understand the concept of an unwinnable situation. It was their greatest flaw and, he had begun to suspect, their most dangerous quality. But this one carried a sword. Kale felt no amusement. He felt something closer to unease, though he could not explain why. His aide leaned close. "The weapon appears to be ceremonial, Commander. Primitive metallurgy. The spectral scan shows unusual alloy composition, but..." "Show me the scan." The data appeared on his wrist display. He stared at it. Then he went very still. Below, the duel had begun. The Torati warrior, his name was Greth, a decorated champion who had crushed 47 opponents in this very arena, descended to the floor with the confidence of a creature that had never lost. He carried a war axe that crackled with magnetic disruption fields. A single hit from it would rupture the electromagnetic signals in a human nervous system, causing immediate systemic shutdown. He swung. Lyra stepped left. The crowd murmured. It was fast, they noted. For a human. Greth swung again, a wide arc designed to eliminate retreat. Lyra ducked under it and stepped into his reach, the one place most opponents never went, and drove her elbow into the joint between his neck plating and shoulder. It did not hurt him. But it made him move his head, which shifted his weight, which opened his left flank by 3 inches. Greth barely noticed. He grabbed for her with his secondary arm. She was already gone, rolling across the stone, coming up with the blade extended. He swung the axe down in a vertical hammer blow that would have split her skull. The blade caught it. Not deflected. Caught. Greth pushed. The force behind that blow could have bent reinforced durasteel. He had seen it. He had done it, to armored mechs and shielded vehicles. Lyra Vera held. Her boots scraped backward across the stone, carving twin lines. Her arms shook. The muscles in her jaw went tight as wound cable. But the blade held, and she did not break. The arena went quiet. Greth stared down at her, confused. The magnetic disruption field around his axe was crackling, searching for a nervous system to collapse, and finding nothing. No response. The blade was simply eating the field, absorbing it, grounding it out into nothing. "What," Greth said, in his own language, "is that thing made of?" Lyra answered in standard, her voice steady despite the strain, "Ask the graveyards." She twisted her wrists, a sharp, technical motion, the kind that takes 10,000 repetitions to make automatic, and Greth's axe spun sideways. His grip broke. The axe clattered away. And Lyra put the tip of her blade at his throat. In the commander's box, Cale Veyron stood. His aide was still talking, reading from the spectral analysis. Confirming trace signatures from at least 6 distinct hull classifications. "Commander, the alloy in that blade contains materials from Ascendancy warships." "The spectral match is?" "I know." Cale's voice was very quiet. "I recognized 3 of those signatures." He did. The Sovereign Meridian. The Veil Keth. The Enduring Claim. All 3 had been destroyed in engagements with humans over the past 2 decades. All 3 had been considered total losses, their wreckage scattered across dead moons and asteroid fields and the cold dark between stars. The Ascendancy had written them off. Mourned them. Erected monuments. The humans had gone back for the pieces. Not to salvage technology. Not to study it. Not even to sell it. To melt it down and forge a sword. Cale looked at the woman below, standing over a defeated Torati champion in a hostile arena, surrounded by 10,000 enemies, holding a blade made from the bones of ships that had come to destroy her species, and he felt something crack open in his chest. It was not admiration. It was older than admiration. It was the feeling that moved through you when you realized, too late, that you had profoundly misunderstood something. Humans did not keep trophies. They kept warnings. Lyra sheathed the blade. She turned and looked up at the crowd, all 10,000 of them, silent now, the laughter gone like smoke and wind, and said nothing. She did not need to. A Vorith official descended to the arena floor, his translation collar flickering through several colors before settling on an uncertain green. "The human is victorious," he announced. His voice had lost its amusement. "By the laws of the Accord duels, she is granted passage Anne." "Tell them what it's made of," Lyra said. The official stopped. "Go on," she said. "Tell them. Run the scan. Read the names." A long silence. Then the official read, into the amplifier, into the silence of 10,000 listeners, "The blade carried by the human champion has been confirmed to contain hull alloy from the Sovereign Meridian, the Veil Keth, the Enduring Claim, the Crimson Authority, the Reach of Stars, and the Undying Accord." Ships' names that the entire Ascendancy knew. Ships that had become symbols. Martyr ships. The silence that followed was not the silence of an arena. It was the silence of a species, of several species, recalculating something. Cale Veyron sat back down. He pressed his hands flat against the railing and looked at the woman below and thought about the 40 years of war and the 100 years before it and all the times the Ascendancy had said they will break and all the times they had not. He thought about what it meant that a human woman had walked into the heart of his civilization's political power, in front of its military commanders and noble houses, carrying a sword forged from its greatest losses. Not as an insult. As a reminder. We were here. We bled. We fell. And then we got back up and made something from the wreckage and came to find you. Lyra Vera walked out of the arena under her own power, the blade at her hip, her boots still scraping that black stone. Behind her, the crowd did not cheer. They did not laugh either. For the first time in 40 years of conflict, 10,000 alien voices had nothing to say. And somehow, that was the loudest sound humanity had ever made.